Mm. Start spitting some bars. Let's go.
I can't.
Yeah, me neither.
It's not appropriate.
Hello, everyone. Episode 7 of Deep Dive, Side Dive. You got both your hosts back, Prack.
Your boy Rex.
And today we're doing a follow-up to the classic album Side Dive from last week. We figured we'd touch both.
Got to see what these bad albums are.
Yeah, with every good album, there are many bad albums. Many, many, many bad albums.
Almost too many to count. Too fucking many.
Absolutely. So why don't you kick this one off? Because I know you're usually saying a lot of albums are bad.
Yeah, but there are a lot of like albums that aren't, I guess, generally known. I mean, to our age group probably, but just the general public, they don't know who freaking state champs are. They don't know who
the
Day to
fuck
Remember
are
is.
the state
See,
champs?
that's what I'm talking about. All right, maybe you don't know, but
oh,
way,
that's
like,
fucking classic.
I mean, there's a few, but I mean, since we were on the topic earlier, Saint Anger by Metallica, that album fucking sucks.
Yeah, you did. We both mentioned our absolute distaste for that in the regular weekly episode. Fuck Saint Anger.
Dude, Saint Anger, again, we've already talked about it, but I'm just going to say it again. What the fuck?
And more on that if you tune in that episode. Yeah, and I also think it kind of speaks to what we got into detail with in the last episode of like sophomore slumps, albums that don't meet the hype. And I can already think of like 3 or 4 of them where you're just like, fuck yeah, dude, this album's going to be so good. And then you're like, the fuck just happened to me? What is this shit? But I digress. I know, like we were just looking over the list and I was like, hey, I love that album. I love that album. I don't think it's as agreed upon when something is absolute shit. I think that's when a real opinion starts to weigh in and shit's wild.
That's why I feel this is kind of a harder topic, because universally loved is a lot easier to achieve to me than universally hated.
That's true.
Because like you said, there's always a big group of people who think the album's great. Like you mentioned on that list, there's a Kiss album. That's like your favorite. You think it's sick.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
speaks to what you said.
And that album is hated by most people I know, but it's like one of those things, like we talked about. Everyone hates it because it's so un-Kiss, but that's what makes it so good. It's like, we've heard the Kiss sound 30 goddamn albums, let's hear a new version of them or a new take. And that's what it is. It's like Kiss's take on grunge music, and people just, they weren't having it. So, but I happen to enjoy it. I think it's interesting. Yeah. But that's Kiss.
So here's something I want to bring up. Spencer, the lead singer to Under Oath.
Yeah.
He recently they released a new song, and a lot of people are not.
It sucks.
That's exactly what he said. A lot of people are saying. And he made a great point about it, though. He said that a lot of people want them to sound like their old selves, not because the music was that great, but because of the time in their life they listened to it. So when they're looking for their music again, they're looking to be reminded of that time, not really the music. And since it's not, it's just, he says it'll never be as good. That's just what he said. I think it's a good point.
I mean, it's not a bad point, but I think it's kind of a cop-out, only because this band has changed their sound 5 times now. And I'm all for progressing, but you have to retain what makes you, you. And eventually, if I heard that new song, I couldn't say that, hey, that's Under Oath. You know what I mean? So they're trying something new to a point where it bends the logic in, their fan base. And when you're a band like Under Oath, you're not big enough to be like, we're going to do something like this and we'll still keep our fans. It's like, no, you're going to alienate the old people and the new people are going to be lukewarm on it. Because let's be honest, that track is pretty generic ass bullshit, at least to me. I listened to it twice the other day and was like, first of all, it's too short. I don't know why songs are getting so short again like they were in the 50s and 60s, other than people's attention spans going to shit. It's a 2-minute TikTok video, I need a 2-minute Under Oath song. No the fuck we don't. That song was trash.
I haven't listened to it.
You haven't even heard it yet?
No, I just saw him post that and I read it and I thought it was a good point. I don't think it speaks to everybody and everything, because people cop out, people change their sound and it's not that great, but
it's an excellent point if you're a band like Coheed and Cambria or Bayside, to where you hear their music and you still know it's them. But that shit to me is bullshit, because like it is a really good strong point and it applies to so many bands. But with what Under Oath has been doing, it's like you fuckers, dude. Just pick a lane. Stay the fuck. Yeah, like, are you a metalcore band? Are you an alternative rock band? Now apparently you're a electronica core, whatever the fuck you want to call that song. But yeah, not for me. I say fuck that song.
Coming soon, bad songs.
Yeah, bad songs for sure. Because we could get off track. Like, we'll do an Under Oath episode. They're worthy of that for sure.
I think so. I love a lot of their early stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a couple off the top of my head.
Go.
So, Spin Doctors, I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Not at all.
They fucking flood the scene in the 90s with their kind of like, alternative grunge rock sound. They're not really grunge, but they were around in that time period. And their first album, Pocket Full of Kryptonite, so fucking good. And then they come out with the follow-up to it. I can't even remember the name because it's so shit. But the album sucks. It reflects absolutely nothing that the first album put across. And it sounds like the Spin Doctors, but it's like the most drab, boring horseshit ever, when the first album was like pretty upbeat, and it's like, I don't know, bands will choose to do shit like that, especially early on. It's just a fucking terrible idea. And that one comes to mind. Another one that comes to mind, because they don't always have to be the sophomore release. No. Sometimes it can be, super later in your career, like Eminem's Revival. I hate to flame Eminem, and we usually sing him a lot of praise, but that album really is some hot trash.
I'm not a big fan of it. I don't ever listen to it.
Yeah. It's got its moments, like all Eminem albums do, but at the end of the day, it falls way fucking short of... And most people listening who might be hardcore Eminem fans are saying that shit anyway, because he can't do anything right post Eminem show. So, or maybe Recovery for some people. I know that's kind of a big deal.
For most people, it's like Marshall Mathers. People I feel like the Eminem show doesn't get the love it deserves.
It's my favorite album.
It's my favorite Eminem album.
It's sick.
And I feel like it doesn't get the love it deserves. When people talk about old Eminem being great, they always say, Slim Shady or MMLP.
Mm-hmm.
Never the Eminem show. The Eminem show to me was the peak of Eminem at that time, of his Slim Shady early era.
Yeah. It was like everything great about the first two albums. Here's
and his rapping
him at the top. But that's a good album.
That is a good album. But anyways, the shit ass Revival. I do like the song The River with Ed Sheeran. I like Ed Sheeran, that little ginger fuck. There's not many of us that are famous. So
I do not like him.
It's because he's ginger.
No, it's because he sucks.
It's because he's ginger. You probably don't like Carrot Top either.
I love Carrot Top. Boom.
I did not see that coming.
I don't really love Carrot Top. Who actually loves Carrot Top?
Us gingers.
Yeah.
Fucking ginger.
Not even you guys. Not even you guys ginger like Carrot Top. All right. Hit me with 3 of the worst albums you've ever heard.
First, I'm going to mention the one that I actually agree with on the Rolling Stone. Ye by Kanye West. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Holy fuck. You want to talk about short albums? Short. You talk about short songs, I mean, but this album's 25 minutes. It's something super short. It's like for a rap album.
Technically an EP, but they'll throw it in the album category just to throw some shade at him.
It's a album and it sucks.
It's trash. I mean, I think it is considered an album, but if we're supposed to go by like what makes an EP by its minute breakdown, I'm pretty sure it's in the EP range. But either way, it blows.
It does.
Honestly, Ye, he's got at least 4 or 5 in a row to me that are just shit.
He had like
pure
to
shit.
Me 5 or 6 in a row that were sick. Mm-hmm. And then since Ye was the worst he's done, but since then all his albums have been just not good. Donda, I don't care what anybody says. What the fuck? I didn't even know that was Kanye West most of the time.
Now, are you pronouncing it Ye just to throw some burn on there?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Much deserved because
dude, I fucking can't with that album. But
I don't know. He used to be great, and that'll be a fucking fun episode too.
It will be because literally first, I mean, a lot of people don't, but I liked 808s and Heartbreaks.
I'm not the biggest fan of that album, to be fucking real, but
I know. A lot of people aren't, but
I like a couple songs on it, but
I really like the feel of the album.
Yeah.
It's different, but it was good to me. I like everything before then. Graduation was great. My Sick, Dark, Twisted Fantasy I really liked too.
Yeah, that was after though.
Yeah.
That was the last good album he made, in my opinion, is Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which I love. I think that album's so sick.
It is sick.
But
that's why it's so crazy when this happens.
Mm-hmm.
When it happens, like you talked about how there are bands that have like 3 album runs that are really good. Mm-hmm. Kanye had 6. Now he's on
what's the whole title of that Pablo album? The Secret Life of Pablo?
Yeah, The Secret Life of Pablo.
All of you Kanye fans out there, I know you love it. I've seen you love it on Reddit and other social media sites. That's cool, to each his own. But clean your fucking ears out. That album is doo-doo. Doo-doo stew.
I don't understand it. But, again, opinion-based.
It is opinion-based.
Most people hate that Kiss album you love, so it's...
And that's understandable. That's understandable. I can see why it's hated. I just can't see why Secret Life of Pablo is loved. That makes no motherfucking sense.
A lot of these albums by these big artists like this still, even when they're shit, find an audience. Yeah. Saint Anger. I'm sure there's a bunch of dudes out there with monster tattoos that love Saint Anger. No offense.
I hope not. But I wouldn't doubt it, no. All right, 2 more.
2 more? Oof, man, these are hard for me.
Interesting. It's easy for me. I can name like 15 shitty albums right now.
Man.
Not because I'm a hater or anything, but I'm a big fan of a lot of bands, and inevitably a lot of bands and artists are going to have their stinker period or their, just their bad album period. And like opinion based, like you're talking about, it can come down to shit like Fall Out Boy. Like I personally still like the follow-ups to From Under the Cork Tree and Folie à Deux or Infinity on High. I like those 2 albums still.
See, yeah, those ones I would call bad.
You would call bad.
Infinity on High is about where they're about to tip over to being bad.
Yeah.
They made some choices, but Folie à Deux, I do not care. I'll take a deuce on that fucking
Folie à Deux.
Folie à Deux, yeah. I don't know. It just wasn't there for me. I especially love their first 2 albums. So to me, Infinity High is where they teeter on their old stuff and stepping into this new style. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't bad. But then, I don't know, Folie just didn't land with me.
Interesting.
And I can see why they split on that album, because of that album.
I want to do a Fall Out Boy episode as well.
You absolutely will.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's a good one. We brought up before we hit record Warning by Green Day. I personally think that album is not good. I think Green Day is capable of much more. Sometimes a band will try that new approach to a sound, but it just doesn't hit. And it's like, I give them kudos for it, but they picked up the pieces and moved on. And when they did American Idiot, I don't love that album, but I don't think it's bad either. I think it's a pretty good opus for Green Day. It's just not my go-to Green Day album. So Warning, definitely on my list there. And they're going to exist. I saw Rolling Stone listed Weezer's Ratitude. That
Never
album.
Listen to it.
It's horrible.
I wonder.
You've never heard that album?
No. Oh. I'm not a huge Weezer fan, which might be odd. I'm just not.
People are hit or miss with them, and they are largely hit or miss. When they're hit, they're fucking legit, but when they miss, it's a travesty. But I can't wait to do that episode and get your thoughts on like 20 Weezer albums.
Jesus Christ. I got one here though, a little more niche. A Dater Remembers You're Welcome.
Yeah.
If you listen to that album, it is peak garbage.
I feel that way about everything post For Those Who Have a Heart anyway by them. Truthfully. Man. I mean,
it's so bad that they made a new song called Feedback because everybody hated that album. And it's a shitty song too. What a surprise.
Oh yeah, I remember that song. Yeah. That song is not for me.
No. It's that like Viva La Mexico. So I feel like bands have sometimes problems writing later on because they've written about everything. So what do you write about when most of your life woes are not everybody's normal stuff? Like you don't worry about money as much. You know, it's hard, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like Bayside, Anthony Ranieri says a lot of their songs are from movies.
Yeah.
About like what goes on in his life a little bit.
Absolutely.
But he watches a movie and apparently he'll like write a song about someone's perspective in that movie. And or what he thinks it would be.
Bayside is a good band because they're consistent.
Consistent?
Yeah.
Consistent as hell. Same with, you might not agree, Silverstein. Silverstein has been consistent for me all the way through. Like, not all great albums, but good. Even their worst ones to me are just good.
Silverstein is a band that I don't think have any bad albums. They just have some albums that I don't find myself listening to either. Like, when I hear it, I'm not like, oh, this sucks. I don't want to hear it. But it's also not mind-blowing enough for me to want to go back to it.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I mean, that happens. Speaking of Under Oath, we brought them up earlier.
Oh.
Up until this new song, I didn't really dislike any of what they had done. I like pretty much all their albums. So this could be their first bad album for me when that comes out, if it sticks to that sound. Let's see. Korn. Korn's got some iffy albums, some bad albums, I would say. Primarily like self-titled. They try to do some, not their first self-titled or even
they have a first?
The third. They've done it well, actually that one's called, I think they've done it 3 times, but yeah, they have 3 separate albums just called Korn. Their first album's called Korn, great album. The second album just called Korn, I would not call great by any stretch of the means. And the third one, I think the third one has a subtext name, but it's called like Korn 3, Remember Who You Are or something. Also, not a good album. So it's out there. Motley Crue has a lot of bad albums, like a lot of bad albums. They're one of those bands that was good for the first 3 or 4, and then they shit the bed for the rest of their career. Kiss, lots of bad shit. AC/DC, lots of bad
everything
shit. If
by
it's you, it's everything.
Everything. Nothing is good by them.
You heard the man. He absolutely, him and his brother hate AC/DC.
Sometimes geniuses have the same thought. Atreyu, In Our Wake. This was an album where they kind of changed it up into dad rock.
Dad rock, you say?
butt rock.
Well, so what does that mean in this context? Because I'm gonna need different context every time it's brought up.
They kind of went more like
new metal.
More. No. They dropped a lot of the screaming, a lot of the metal stuff, and kind of did more like the Breaking Benjamin style, a little heavier.
It's called
4 Years Strong.
New metal.
4 years, is it?
Yeah, Breaking Benjamin is new metal.
Butt rock.
A term so great that nobody knows quite where it lies.
If I had a radio station, I would make millions, and I would call it Butt Rock 101.
We could toss up that other mixer we tried and use that radio station and just chime in.
Oh, heck yeah.
Well, interesting. So before the end of this episode, let's try and think of the 5 worst albums each for us as we talk about this, because I think we both have plenty more to say in this regard. Just like the classic album thing, though, let's get into a little bit of what you were talking about, the psychology behind trying to stay relevant or always putting out banger after banger, which we did mention earlier on. I forget what band we were talking about. I think it was Devil Wears Prada. Oof. If you haven't checked out that episode, check it out. Devil Wears Prada is an interesting band, but they are also not without a bad album.
Not without a few.
Quite a few.
Quite a few.
Well, not quite a few, but at least towards the latter part of their career, which, you know, you might hear me talk about often, but that's not true of every band. You know, Bayside, we just talked about them being consistent. Coheed and Cambria, very consistent band.
Very.
They always put out quality. I mean, Between the Buried and Me, shout out to those motherfuckers.
Oh, wow.
So guys. Sick.
What
seen them live probably the most out of any goddamn band I've seen live. I think I've seen them 9-10 times. Actually, fuck. I'm wearing a goddamn shirt from the last time I saw them, which was like 2 or 3 months ago.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, drove down to LA to see them for 2 nights. They played Colors and Colors 2. Damn. Those are both great albums.
Those are.
Not bad albums like a lot of this shit we're talking about.
Oh, no. Yeah, great albums.
See, it's like the classic album or the good album thing. They could easily both be 2-parter episodes, but these are just side dives, so they're supposed to give you guys an understanding of how we decide what we don't like or what we think sucks. And if you're listening and you're one of those bands, we don't think you suck. Obviously, you know, we know that you can't win them all. You can't be great every time unless you're like Between the Buried and Me. I'm just kidding. But like there's going to be moments that even those guys, you know, they don't have a bad album, but they have an album that's let me down or not quite succeeded for me in the same way that a previous album has or whatever. So it's not always about being bad per se, but not living up to somebody's expectations or the fan base expectation. And even bands like Foo Fighters, you know, they've experienced a couple lulls in their career.
That's going to be an interesting one to listen to, because I still couldn't name a song from Foo Fighters.
No way. Yeah. Everlong? Really?
I swear to God.
Learn to Fly? Wow, you're blowing my mind right now. I mean, not really. I think we should probably state that, you know, we largely listen to a lot of the same music, but our backgrounds in music are totally different. So what's super familiar to me, like Foo Fighters, is probably way more foreign to you, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I grew up with my mom and my brother, so it was rap or Celine Dion.
Didn't your brother say you guys listened to a lot of oldies too, though? Like, didn't your mom love Journey, or wasn't there some band like that?
She liked Led Zeppelin, but
hell yeah, that's a rock and roll mom right there.
She didn't listen to him a lot when I was a kid.
We
listened to Sunny 106.9.
Oh, that's what your brother said. Yeah, okay.
That's what we listened to. If anybody's out there, check out
Sunny 106.9. Hell yeah. We just gave some non-existent radio a plug. Do they still exist?
Hell yeah, they do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, hell yeah.
I think that's what Delilah plays on.
By the Plain White Tees?
No, Delilah, like, Delilah.
Oh. I was like, shit, if Plain White Tees, hey there, Delilah.
Oh, I bet it's on there now.
Man.
I bet.
I'm not even gonna comment on that if that shit's on there, but
that's awesome though.
I know another couple bad albums for me that, always bothered me was like Jay-Z doing the Black Album and then Kingdom Come and American Gangster coming out after that. Or maybe American Gangster was before Black Album. Was it after?
No, yeah, because it went Black Album, he retired. Kingdom Come was his comeback album, and then he did American Gangster after American Gangster, the movie.
Right, because I know it's based on that.
Yeah. So
not a good album. No, not good. And neither is Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come is, not good.
Even Nas, Nas has a really solid discography, but there's a couple stinkers in the rough there, or in the diamonds.
I mean, couple roughs in the diamonds. Later stuff.
I don't know. He's been on fire recently.
Has he?
He's released 5 albums in the last 2 or 3 years, and they are all fucking fire. No joke. He's just on point right now. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. They're called King's Disease 1, 2, and 3, and then there was 2 other albums in the mix. But anyway, there's definitely, every artist. I can't say every. But 90% of artists got some bad shit in their catalog. And even bands like Led Zeppelin or the Beatles, like you brought up earlier. For me, personally, I don't know how it's felt universally, but I fucking hate Magical Mystery Tour. That album sucks. I don't know if you have any frame of reference for it.
No.
If you don't, but those of you out there that have heard that album and are Beatles fans, don't fucking tell me that album is good. That album is not fucking good. I mean, and it's largely kind of a soundtrack to a weird thing they were doing, but it still sucks. Okay. It still ain't good. Or any album by Lou Reed. Those are all bad. Up to and including Lulu.
And another one. You got to listen to that Metallica episode. We go and talk about how Delulu Lulu is.
Yeah, that's
just going to say.
Some wild shit. You know who, for me, has more bad albums than good albums, but I still love him as an artist?
AC/DC.
No, false. But I could agree with that to an extent. I don't love that many of AC/DC's albums, and they admittedly do have some bad ones. Pretty much every album by them sounds the same. But no, who I was talking about was Elton John. A lot of good classic albums, and then just a plethora of garbage after the fact. Just adult contemporary, puts you to sleep, playing in the elevator, waiting in the dentist's office. Horrible.
The guy's rich, man. He's good. You see those diamond shades he always wears?
That was back when he was good, though. Those diamond shades came about when he was kicking ass still. So that's just him reminiscing about the days that he did not fucking put out garbage albums one after another. And hey, maybe they're not garbage. Again, he has his fan base, old ass people, 60, 70-year-olds that grew up listening to him. And now they're like, oh my God, Betty, the new Elton John. They tap into their inner Cartman.
That sounds about right.
Or Canadian, South Park Canadian. Don't sue me, Trey Parker, Mastone. Just fucking around.
Yeah, please
I don't think they can. I'm just joking.
They wouldn't hear us.
Yeah. Who am I kidding? They never gonna hear us. So a couple more that I have to mention, and I've been thinking about them the whole time.
Mention them.
Smashing Pumpkins, great band. A lot of crap. Woo, a lot of crap. Pretty much everything after Adore. Actually, everything after Machina up until their most recent album just been real bad.
Super bad. Hobson's No Shame album. I don't know if you listen to much Hobson, but I really like Hobson. So this No Shame album was a total shame.
I think he has a lot of talent, and I like him. I like a couple songs.
Yeah.
But I think he has a hard time being consistent and not just ripping himself off over and over and over again. I'm not even familiar with the album you just mentioned. I don't know if I've ever even listened to an entire Hobson album, if I'm being honest.
Oh man, I think he's a great lyricist. I think
he is
one of the better, and it's crazy because he's released a bunch of singles after No Shame.
Like Ill Mind of Hobson or whatever those are. Those are what I'm familiar with.
He hasn't done one of those in a while, but he's just released some random songs here and there, and all of them are fucking better than that album.
Yeah.
It sucked. It fucking sucked. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people say that because I've heard nobody talk great about No Shame.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a shame.
I mean, like I said, they can't all be zingers. I don't know what his other albums are like. He's somebody your brother showed me years ago, like a decade ago, and I like some songs, but
he's really good. I feel like his cadences, his rapping, all that kind of stuff. His lyrics, he's good. He's on par with Tech Nine. He does a sweet song with Tech Nine.
Tech Nine's got a lot of bad albums too, if I'm being honest.
He's got a lot.
He's just got a lot of albums.
He's got a lot.
Oh, you mentioned before we hopped on that Lil Wayne Rebirth album.
Rebirth album, yeah.
That album wasn't for me.
I didn't hate it.
Like I'm gonna pick this world up and drop it on his fucking head. Not a fan. I love Lil Wayne, but I'm just not.
That song specifically was
not
sweet.
Having it.
Eminem murdered it on there.
Well, yeah. I mean, everything else about it was horrible. Of course, he's gonna murder it.
I thought the song was cool.
I'm not a fan. I just don't. Totally cool that he's into guitars. I saw he recently posted in another TikTok video where he's playing what he thinks is a guitar solo, whatever. And it looks like he's getting ready to maybe get back in the studio with some more guitar shit. And that's cool. Like I said, I like Lil Wayne. I used to not like him. I don't think he's the GOAT rapper like everybody says, but I do think when it's like Weezer. Wheezy is like Weezer. How weird is that? When he's on point, but when he sucks, he sucks. It's weird.
He's good. He's good all around. But
No Ceilings mixtape. That's what's up. That's all you need for Lil Wayne. There's good albums too, but that mixtape is...
The mixtape is sweet.
It's so fucking good. Like, Wheezy, if you ever hear this, make more shit like that. Please.
Please.
I'm begging you.
Please.
Bush. The band Bush. They're one of those bands that had their peak in the early 90s and shit, or maybe late 90s. How familiar are you with grunge music?
Nirvana?
Yeah, like Nirvana, Alice in Chains.
Nirvana.
Soundgarden.
Oh, Soundgarden. Nirvana.
So just Nirvana, really?
Yeah.
Nirvana does not have a bad album, though. Pretty short-lived. Hard for them to have a bad album. But
so you liked In Utero?
I love In Utero. You know why? Because Nevermind is a classic album. It's the world's mainstream introduction to Nirvana, but shout out to Bleach. Bleach is a great album.
Bleach is good.
Nevermind is the breakout Nirvana. And then
yeah.
In Utero is, I think, what refined Nirvana sounded like. And I think they'd already hit it by their second commercial release. Also, shout out to Incesticide. Not technically a Nirvana main core album, but it came out right in between Nevermind and In Utero. And I've always thought of it as the makeshift third album and In Utero's fourth. But that's just me.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Has a lot of cover songs on it, but it's pretty good. Yeah, In Utero is it's a really solid album.
I'm not the biggest grunge fan, but yeah, I do like Nirvana. They're not somebody I listen to very often.
Yeah.
I have listened to In Utero, Bleach. One of my favorite songs from them is About a Girl.
It's a great song.
It's a great song. Yeah, but just not, real big.
Yeah. Okay, so my question, before we start talking top 5 worst albums of all time, my biggest question to you, is there an album that was so bad that you stopped listening to said artist because it was just you just couldn't do it. You know, like they had a really good reputation with you. They released a lot of good shit, and then they came out with an album that was just such garbage that you walked away.
No, I don't.
Interesting.
I have a thing. I think I go back. Even if I hate an album, I go back and I listen to it to make sure. And sometimes my opinion changes. Yeah. So Bayside, I think they have a pretty perfect score, in my opinion. But when Shudder and Killing Time, which Killing Time is now my favorite album by them, I thought they both were terrible. I did not like them.
Interesting.
So I went back, and if I were to call one of their albums just good, it'd be... Man, that's hard. Either way, both those albums I really like now. And back then, though, I hated them. So when I go back, sometimes my mind changes. Not with Revival, though. It wasn't bad enough to make me not listen to Eminem anymore, but even when I go back to that album, there's only a few songs that I'm like, fuck, yeah.
You heard him.
Fuck Revival. Fuck it.
But no, I get it. I don't even go back and listen to Revival. I probably should give it another chance, but I'm not going to.
I try every now and then.
I own it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
For me, I think when 311, I know we mentioned them a little bit before. I know you're not super familiar with them.
No, not at all.
But when they came out with Evolver, and this might be unpopular to a lot of you, I walked away after that album. I haven't not heard an album since then. I've heard a couple singles. The 2 new singles I heard were good, but it was so off-putting to me and so boring and bland that I walked away from 311, and I kind of capped them off at From Chaos. That was the last great album for me by them. So I can think about that. I can think about Kiss. I think I told you I really only like 5-year span of Kiss.
Yeah, you
in reality with
40.
1 or 2 sparse albums later on, like Creatures of the Night. I like. We just talked about Music from the Elder. I like that one too. But those are the only 2 post Ace Peter albums I like, and I walked away from them. I thought Dynasty was such a fucking
shit show.
And when I see a shit show like that, I walk. I'm not going to keep being loyal to them and buying albums, because I still largely buy albums. So if you turn super shitty, yeah, we're sitting next to a room full of them. I've got probably like 1,000 right now. Yeah. And that's just CDs. The vinyl downstairs speaks for itself too. But
yep.
And I love that. I love to buy music and support the artists I like. But if you're bad, if you get really bad, I ain't buying them anymore. I might still stream your shit and hear what you're doing, and if I like it, I'll go from there. But there are just some bands that I can't do it. When you hit that shit, I'm out. Prac is out.
Out, baby.
All right, let's do it. Let's do top 5 worst albums of all time. Your
top 5.
That's a hard one. Because who knows, in 5 years they might not be. But for now...
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of it.
I'm going to go number 1 is going to be Atreyu's Lead Sails and Paper Anchor.
It's weird. I knew you were going to bring that album up. I don't like that album either.
There's maybe 1 or 2 songs on it that I kind of like, but I still don't even put them in an Atreyu playlist for me. I fucking love the album before it.
The Curse?
No, Death Grip on Yesterday.
Oh, that's right. I fucking
love that album. Is sick. So sick.
It is good.
Then they do Lead Sails and Paper Anchor, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
So that is the worst album you've ever heard?
No. I don't know. It's hard. The worst album I've ever heard is probably going to be Back in Black by AC/DC.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I just don't get them. Maybe that's the thing. I don't get it.
They're
I
like
have to be part of the time.
They're quintessential rock band, like they
exactly.
They do.
I don't get it.
And I mean, I understand. That's crazy, though. All right, so you got Lead Sales, Paper Anchor by Atreyu. You have Back in Black by AC/DC. What's 3 more?
Just a little background on that AC/DC album. My mom had a boyfriend. Fucking hated his ass.
Oh, the truth comes out.
Hated his ass. No, I hated AC/DC before this.
Oh, okay.
But he fucking loved them.
Okay.
And he would play that album all the time.
Interesting.
Fucking could not stand it. But his truck.
Interesting.
His truck. I'm not gonna, knock him.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I am, though. He's a piece of shit. But anyways, that's why I know that album.
I love that album. I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. That album is the first AC/DC album after they lose their original singer, Bon Scott. Okay. And that album is written and dedicated to Bon Scott with their new singer, Brian Johnson. And all of those songs are about Bon Scott. So, like, they're written with him in mind and the things he would have done. And it's a really nice tribute. But totally get it. I think it's a great album, though. Another band that's done that exact thing is Alice in Chains' Black Gives Way to Blue. When Lane Staley died, they took a pretty big hiatus, obviously, because Lane was a major part of the band. Yeah. And then when they came back, Jerry Cantrell was writing songs about him missing his friend, and that's how that album came to be. So anyway, if you guys didn't know that out there, that's that. So third worst album. Third, like, shittiest album you can think of.
Pink Floyd, their first album.
Oh my God, what is that album called?
It's called The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Okay, here's the thing. I don't like Dark Side of the Moon. I don't know why everybody loves it. I do not know why everybody loves it, but I fucking don't.
It's a beautiful piece of music.
But that album, that first Syd Barrett album, I can't stand it.
Let's be real. Those first 6 albums are hot fucking trash anyway. I don't agree about Dark Side, but I think they're early. It's like up until what, Uma Guma?
Uma Guma.
That album sucks, but what's after that? What's the first good album on that list?
Do you like Adam Hart Mother?
I do.
There it is.
Okay, Adam Hart Mother.
But that's the first one without Sid, isn't it?
That explains it all.
Yeah, because I
think it's the first with David Gilmour.
Yeah, because then they did Dark Side, sucked, and then they did their best album, Wish You Were Here.
Wish You Were Here is great.
Fucking, in my opinion, their best work. It was, again, and it's a dedication to Syd Barrett. The songs were about him.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, anyways.
What about The Wall? Do you like The Wall?
Wall would come right after Dark Side of the Moon. I think it's overrated.
What about like Division Bell? You heard that one?
No, I haven't listened to that one. I do like Animals.
Animals is good.
I really like it. It's got the acoustics they use in it. I really like.
I mean, we agree that Wish You Were Here is untoppable for them. So.
Oh, you agree?
I do.
I did not know that.
I do disagree with you about Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah. I do wholeheartedly agree with you about Wish You Were Here. I think it's pretty good. It would go, for me, be like Wish You Were Here, and then Animals, and then Wall, and then Dark Side of the Moon, probably.
That's probably how mine would go.
Yeah, interesting. We'll have to do a Pink Floyd episode.
Absolutely.
Oh, but we got to listen to those first 6. Anyway, all right. So we got Atreyu, AC/DC, Pink Floyd. What's your 4 and 5?
Paramore, After Laughter. So this is Paramore's, I want to say, 5th album. Terrible.
Really?
Terrible. It's
never heard
some junky, techno-y, crappy crap. Like,
oh, you mean what Under Oath is doing now?
Maybe, but worse. Because I think Under Oath, or not, you got me thinking of Under Oath. I'm thinking, or Paramore's second commercially album, which would be Brand New Eyes. So their third album, but their second, like, once they were in the scene, because not a lot of people talk about their first.
Yeah, but it's on Fueled by Ramen. It's not like an underground album.
It's not, but a lot of people don't even know that album exists.
I love that album.
I think it's good. I think their first 3 are, but Brand New Eyes to me is the best they've ever done, and one of the best of that era as albums.
Interesting. I prefer Riot, but I get it.
But yeah, that album, it sucks. Actually, Paramore sucks now. Paramore sucks. I wish they would go back into retirement because they are fucking garbage.
I'm gonna disagree hard on that. I haven't heard the album you're talking about, which is weird, but I've heard the last two, and I think they've gotten so much more mature. I think Haley has gotten a lot better. I think the direction they're heading in is way more respectable. But that's just me.
Oh man,
we will do a Paramore episode relatively soon because we just talked about that actually.
It's so they did only After Laughter and This Is Why. This Is Why is their newest album.
Then I guess I have heard After Laughter because I like that album.
Oh, I do not like that album.
Yeah, I think that album is good. Yeah, because that's the one with what's the big single off that? I hear that shit all the time.
I don't even know.
But yeah, no, I have heard that album and I did like it, so hard disagree, sir. But we'll do that. We'll do that episode.
After Laughter.
All right, number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5.
That's so hard.
Number 5.
Man, yeah, I'm going to have to go with all of Kanye's albums later on. You talk about things that just you cannot stand, and I pretty much listen to Kanye West now, anything new, and no hype, no nothing. I put it on out of hope. Do you ever hope that somebody gets better again?
Absolutely.
I put on Donda with hope in my heart, and I'm burnt. I'm burnt, like done. I've listened to all his albums, and
it's funny.
I have hope, but
I don't.
It's dwindling.
I lost hope after Secret Life of Pablo or whatever. I thought it was goddamn laughable for an album. And it's funny, the love that it gets is just so mind-blowing to me because people will be like, I think you got better. And I'm like, what the fuck are you hearing, dude? There's no fucking way.
Dude. I mean, we're all entitled to our opinions, but that's a wrong one.
Sometimes they're wrong, and that one is indeed
wrong.
And that's okay. I have wrong opinions too. I love Limp Bizkit, and that might be wrong to a lot of people, and I totally get it, but I love them. Don't care. Fuck you guys.
That's okay. That's okay.
Hey, they're admittedly not a great band. They have great things about them, but all those things to me are
I like
finite combination.
So
I like old ICP.
I like some of their stuff. So
yeah.
I mean,
that's gonna be a fun episode.
Oh
man, because most people would just write them off completely when talking seriously about music, but not us. Not deep dive.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I've listened to one of their newer songs.
Mm-hmm.
It was the worst thing I've ever heard.
That's a shame. None of their stuff has ever been mind-blowing, but like it was original, it was edgy, it was fairly shocking with those first like 6 Joker cards, and then they were like,
look,
shit show.
I don't think you're grasping what I'm saying right now.
Oh, I don't need to hear it to understand.
Did you ever hear that song Friday by whatever that chick was?
Rebecca Black.
Friday.
Yeah. Who hasn't?
That's that ICP made a song like that.
That
but worse.
I don't want to hear
worse.
That.
You need to hear it.
I can't do that.
I can't wait for you to hear it. The music video they do for it.
What was the thing you were going to force me to... Speaking of bad albums, before I get to my 5 shitties, Corey Taylor and his rap albums.
His rap albums.
No.
After he made me listen to Saint Anger. And, oh man, I said we're listening to those.
They can't be during the Slipknot episode. That's just about Slipknot.
It'll be a side dive.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll be a side dive.
Oh, be a fun one. Brace yourselves.
How do you know? What if you come out loving it? What if he's got a Limp Bizkit-y Vanilla Ice style?
No.
Okay.
I am a fan of his rapping in Slipknot, like early Slipknot songs, because it's done in a way that complements the music perfectly. But him on rap beats, rapping, as Stone Cold would say.
I don't know why. It's funny you say that, because when I think of Corey Taylor just rapping on a beat, I feel like it's like when John Cena was rapping. That's what it comes to my mind.
Yeah. No, I've heard snippets of him being like a guest on somebody's song, and that's exactly like that. Just the cheesiest bullshit ever. But
like old Will Smith raps.
I like old Will Smith. It's lame, it's cheesy, but it's of its time.
It's just cheesy and just lame for rap because he doesn't swear. And Family Guy does a great joke about him doing it. He's like, it goes to Will Smith in the studio, and he's like, do your homework, help your parents,
yeah, I remember
the dishes.
That. Yeah.
I'm like, that's exactly what his stuff was like.
He did just drop a new song where he's ditched that super clean.
No way.
He's cussing a little bit on it.
Oh, he's saying darn?
It's actually a pretty sick song. No, he says fuck and he says shit, I think. But
look what Jada did to him.
Yeah.
Look what she did
Jada Pinkett Smith, dude.
I don't know about you, but I like Will Smith. I don't give a fuck that he slapped the shit out of Chris Rock.
That he slapped. I don't think he should have done that, but I don't care that he did it either.
No.
Like, he was falsely defending the honor of his wife because she don't give a shit about him. So that's the only reason I wouldn't have done it. But do I care that he did that? No. I actually think it's a smidge metal.
If only they would have done the metal music after, would have made the scene. But no, yeah, I don't care. I like Will Smith as an actor actually a lot. He's been in a lot of bad movies, but he's
been in a lot of great movies.
I really like some of his bad ones. Like I have a love for iRobot.
I like iRobot.
Do you? Yeah. I feel like a lot of people don't. I really like that movie.
It's not a stellar movie, but if I'm in the mood for like a no-nonsense sci-fi movie, I might throw something like that on. Or I Am Legend. And
love I Am Legend.
I like Will Smith. His bad movies are no worse than anybody else's bad movies. I think he's good when he's good and he's bad when he's bad.
I mean, he's got to be smart. He didn't do Independence Day 2.
Hell yeah. Fuck.
All right, so let's get back on topic. What are your top 5?
Top 5 shittiest albums. So
I know you got them.
It's funny you brought up ICP because I have had it cocked and loaded to throw this on the list.
Oh.
And it's Bizarre. I don't know if you remember those albums, but they were a double album. They came out right after the first 6 Joker cards ended. And it was them trying like a new metal, hard rocky sound, more so than just the couple tracks like Great Milenko had done. But the 2 albums are called Bizarre, and they're spelled differently. Bizarre is spelled with like 2 Z's on one. And
I know what you're talking
extra
about.
I or something.
I'm actually pulling it up right now because I think I like that album.
There's a couple okay songs, but overall the project for me falls short and it only goes downhill from there. But yeah, Bizarre. That's number 1. Number 2.
I do like this one, man. Forgotten Freshness too is right after.
That's right around the time that Twisted also came out.
Yes.
And again, we're not judging this band in the same way everyone else does or this group, but that's just, I didn't like those albums. Number 2 is that Spin Doctors. It's called Turn It Upside Down. Fuck that album. Like I can't even. There's nothing more to say about it. It just sucks. Like we'll never do an episode on those guys, but maybe we'll do a side dive on. Like that first album is classic, so maybe we'll listen to that album and then spit back and forth about that. But Turn It Upside Down. Ooh, bad one. Just shivers down my spine. Number 3. Saint Anger. It is really that disappointing, especially for the time.
If I had a shout out to my list, Saint Anger. Yep. Did I add that on my list?
You didn't mention it, which shocked me, but honorable mention for you.
Honorable mention for sure. I'll never listen to that again.
Another one that I have to bring up that just I think belongs on a list of shit ass albums is the Foo Fighters. I think it's called like Sonic 8 or something like that.
I really am shocked right now. I know you're a big Foo Fighters fan.
I am. And, they're one of those bands that never really tries to do something new. They play it safe as much as they can. What was that album called? The Big 8 on the cover, but I don't think that was actually the name. Maybe it was Sonic Highways. That's what it was. That album just doesn't do it for me. And that is shocking because I do love almost every one of their albums, but but their more recent shit is just not for me. I really miss their stadium rock sound, which would catch me some shit because I know they don't agree. I usually hear people talk about the first 3 albums and then they get shitty and people are like, oh, they're so shitty now, and it's like, whatever. But that's definitely one of them for me. And then Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare, that album is a joke. Welcome to My Nightmare is a fucking shit ass album by an artist that I don't love that much. Like, I respect the shit out of him for helping start like shock rock that later artists like Marilyn Manson and shit like that kind of did, but his music is just not for me. So if you're listening out there, Alice Cooper, I love you, but I fucking do not like that album or most of your music. I'm sorry. They're kind of my AC/DC when it comes to music.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then last but not least, it's tough. I guess I'll throw out a couple honorable mentions, but Revival is definitely on there because, big Eminem fan, and I'm so happy that the death of Slim Shady and Music to be Murdered By and Kamikaze were good, because if he had continued this path of what Revival was, we'd be having another Kanye West ladder discography there for us. So, and right now Kanye West is just not at his Kanye best. And then a couple honorable mentions for me would be Offspring's, I think it's like Patience, Rise, Fall, and Grace or something. It's something like that. I'm not even going to bother to look it up. It sucks. It really disappointed me at the time. Throwing it in there, it sucks. Fuck that album. And then this is going to be very unpopular, but everything by AFI after December Underground. And even that album for a lot of people, but I still enjoyed that album, and everything after I thought was absolute shit.
That's hilarious. I was going to ask you again, what's another album that everybody loves that you fucking hate? And my answer was going to be December Underground.
Interesting. I think it's not bad.
Fucking album. Fucking.
It's the Hot Topic AFI album. It's the album that,
Oh, yeah. It's definitely the mall rats who made that music. Those people that hang out in the mall all day long, little emo kids.
I need something to justify the hair in my eyes.
The hair.
December Underground.
It's December. I'm going to go underground.
Don't get mad, emo guys. Rex and I were both emo for a while.
I still am.
We might
people asking
even
me that.
Still be a little bit, but
people ask me, they're like, "Were you emo when you were younger?" I was like, "What gave that away?"
Like Eminem. People always ask me, what was it like when I was emo? So that about wraps it up. Bad albums, they exist. It's unfortunate. It's never cool when you love an artist and they come out with something that just doesn't meet your expectations or what you were, hoping for. But it happens. That's how Rex and I feel about some of those bands and their albums. Obviously, there's plenty more. But
and I was trying to look up and figure out albums I don't like for this. So I knew we were doing this after we did the good albums. I just have a hard time, man. Except with AC/DC and Kanye, like those are like set in stone, but that was engraved over years of just Kanye. I had hope. AC/DC, there's no hope, but it was just hard. Like I said, Bayside's two of their albums I hated, and now one of them is my favorite. I cannot get enough about it.
It's because you don't want them to be bad. You don't want to be saying bad shit, but it's just like it doesn't work unless it's AC/DC for you. Obviously, you definitely want to be saying bad shit.
What? When we do our AC/DC episode, I'm gonna dress in a schoolboy outfit.
You are gonna hate that shit. You are gonna fucking hate it, dude. That is gonna be. You thought Metallica put you through the ringer? Oh man.
Look, here's one thing I will say. I do have hope that AC/DC can be better than Saint Anger.
Everything they've ever done is better than Saint Anger, but that is not a very high bar. So
no, it's not, because it's oh man.
All right, so bad albums. We want to hear from you, just like the classic albums. We still haven't. I don't see no comments. That's cool. But anytime you want to get involved, please do. Drop us the worst albums in your opinion, your top 5, your biggest disappointments.
Do us a favor, though. AC/DC has a lot of albums. Don't name them all.
Just don't even name AC/DC. That's just a waste of your time. He's going to agree with you no matter what.
Absolutely.
You get an automatic agree with an AC/DC suggestion. But yeah, that is that. Thank you for tuning in to episode 7 of Side Dive. We will catch you on Friday. And we're out.